Welcome to Chapter 5 of our English American Literature course. Today, my group mates and I will be discussing about the entirety of the chapter, which comprises of topics such as Romanticism and Transcendentalism, the poetry of William Wordsworth, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and John Keats. Also with the romantic themes of nature, imagination, and individuality. So first up, we have Romanticism and Transcendentalism. So what are these concepts? What are these movements? Don't you worry, y'all. We'll be discussing it more and in depth as we go along this video. Okay, so according to the slide, Romanticism is the celebration of the individual and the glorification of nature. More specifically, Romantics, capital R, very important right there, capital R, Romantics, embrace the uniqueness of the human spirit, which they feel is reflected in and deeply connected to the untamed wildness of nature. Romanticism is also a literary movement that emerged in the late 18th and the early 19th centuries, primarily in England and America. Romanticism is a literary and artistic movement marked chiefly by an emphasis on the imagination and emotions. So the basic idea of this literary movement, of this philosophical concept, is that it regards or it focuses more on emotions and imaginations as opposed to logic and reason. So that's all you need to know. So next, what is Transcendentalism? Transcendentalism was a cultural movement that arose during the first half of the 19th century. So Transcendentalism came after Romanticism, as stated there, Romanticism started in the late 18th, while Transcendentalism was in the first half of the 19th century. Transcendentalism's definition centers around the idea that humans have knowledge from nature that goes beyond what can be understood with the senses. Transcendentalism is a mid-19th century literary and philosophical movement. Its major themes are intuition, the individual's relationship to nature and the divine, self-reliance, and nonconformity. So, Transcendentalism focuses more on the inner self, like intuition, stuff stated here in the text, that intuition, self-reliance, nonconformity. With nonconformity, if you're confused with what that means, it simply pertains to not following the status quo or what is considered as normal. This pertains to societal norms and behavior, whatever. So if being non-conforming means you are very skeptical and criticize why or what the thing that society is trying to get you to follow means, or you're just not. You just don't. You're just that chill. So yeah, that's basically it. I think you'll be discussing more in depth regarding Romanticism and Transcendentalism with my other group mates.
Good day everyone, and thank you also Laurel for that wonderful introduction. So moving on, we have the Romanticist versus the Transcendentalist. So the difference between Romanticism and Transcendentalism is that Transcendentalism is where God is an internal force and everyone has within them a spark of internal light that can be assessed through nature. Positive elements in everyone. Where romanticism is where God is more external. The battle between positive and negative occurs in everyone. So, the difference between romanticism and the transcendentalism is romanticism where is feelings, emotions, and observations gleaned from the natural senses. The romanticists believe that man could be perfected by grasping hold of his own ideas and promoting himself. Where transcendentalists says that dependence on intuition and the guidance of the inner light, the goal of the transcendentalist was to reveal his inner light and connect with God. So, what is the similarities between of them? Here's one. Movements born as a reaction to strict traditions, laws, and religion dogma. Second one is the reject of Calvinism and the doctrine of predetermination. So both of them rejects the idea of predetermination and Calvinism. Calvinism is the belief where God is the very absolute of all things, and it connects also with predetermination because it believes that everything is already planned and it cannot be changed anymore. It is already predetermined who will be saved and who will be punished, to hell and to heaven. So the third one would be the emphasis of importance of the individual. So both of them emphasizes the importance of each individual. The fourth one is look to nature as a source of inspiration and spirituality. So both of these ideas looks into nature. They use them as a source of inspiration, spirituality, and spirituality. So the fifth one is they both see society as inherently corrupt. So they said that society is corrupt, is inherently corrupt, and it affects their state or their holiness. Then the difference is transcendentalist sees that trust the spiritual, espouse the belief that all aspects of nature, including the man, are expressions of God. All things are divine. All individuals have an inner goodness. One's intuition is an expression of the inner life of God. So the transcendentalists believe that everything created everywhere is an expression of God. All things are divine, even the grass. And also, all individuals have an inner goodness. Right? One's intuition is an expression of their inner light of God. So everyone's intuition are the expressions of the inner life of God. See? Where the romantics believed, like transcendentalists, romanticists see nature as divine. However, they assert that man is not inherently divine, but is capable of divinity. The closer he or she gets to nature, and the further removed from society. So as I have said before, the farther the man or the woman is from the society, the closer he gets or she gets to divinity. His and her moral life must be directed only to the divine. That's what the romantics believe. So, now that you know what both of them believe, so I'm gonna explain to you what is the Calvinism. So, Calvinism teaches that God has already decided everything in advance, and including who will be saved and who will not, and that humans have little or no free will in the matter. So this idea is called predetermination or predestination. So that's it. So in short, the Romantics did not believe that life and salvations. I don't know. Both of them believe that both of them did not believe that life and salvation are already decided, and also both of them believe that is a clear and easy okay lang pero ika. Shiba. Ang gibasa. Here is a very clear and easy explanation based on the photo. Okay. Cholera.
Please modify. You can modify this
You
prayer.
can modify this prayer.
Oh, wow.
What?
Linda. Okay, lagi.
Balikan.
Can lupus. Kuanyati ba lang? Can lupus. Sinali ko ito kuanyati. Ako na siya.
Balik na nga. So in short, the simple idea on transcendentalism is that truth comes from within you, resides within you, born within you, lives within you. Where the Romanticism is the truth comes from emotions and expressions. The main difference is where Romanticism follows emotions and imagination, and Transcendentalism follows intuition and inner spirituality. That's all. Thank you for listening, and please move on to the next reporter. Bye-bye.
Good day, everyone. I'm Christine Apaw, and I'm going to report about the poetry of William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth was one of the founders of English Romanticism and one of its most central figures and important intellects. He is remembered as a poet of spiritual and epistemological speculation, a poet concerned with the human relationship to nature, and a fierce advocate of using the vocabulary and speech patterns of common people in poetry. So si William Wordsworth isa siya ka poet na founder sa English Romanticism. Diyan siya mo'y central figure of important intellects sa Romanticism. Dayon, ang mga topic or ang topic sa mga literature or mga poem ni Wordsworth is about sa nature, about relationship sa human and nature. Dayon, ang panggamiton pod nga words or ang vocabulary sa poetry niya is mga simple, magamit lang siya mga simple words para masabtan siya sa mga tao. Wordsworth repeatedly emphasizes the importance of nature to an individual's intellectual and spiritual development. So, ang ihang mga topic lagi kay about sa nature, dayon nag-emphasize sa importance sa nature para kuno sa development sa usa ka tawo. Di ba kay og nakabantay mo og kanang kuan mo nature kay murag ang inyong kuan kay mas gaan ina. So mo ing anak mo kuan ni Wordsworth. A good relationship with nature helps individuals connect to both the spiritual and the social world. As Wordsworth explained in the prelude, a love of nature can lead to a love of humankind. So kaning the prelude kay isa ni sa iyahang mga works. So nag-explain dito nga nature can lead to love of a humankind. So mag-search mo daghan ni siya mga works, isa ani ang prelude o kaning I wandered lonely as a cloud. So akong basahan ang I wandered lonely as a cloud. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats in high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the tree, fluttering and dancing in the breeze, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. They stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not be but be gay in such jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth this show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. So, ang I wandered lonely as a cloud ni William Wordsworth means kanang murag gikawa siya or kanang na ay naligaw siya ng landas, so he felt aimlessly and solitary. So like a cloud, iyang gi compare iyang kaugalingon as a cloud kuno nga nagwander lonely. So nagdrift siya without purpose. Nya kanang na ay lonely siya rang isa. But this initial loneliness was transformed into lasting joy by the beautiful sight of a field of golden daffodils. So mo tong pag kanang na ligaw siya ng landas niya, nakita niya ang field sa golden daffodils. So mo tong murag na nakakon siya hala ka nindot or nga na niya. Mo tong murag nalipoy na siya na feel at peace na siya. So mo to'y about sa mo to'y iyahang poem nga I wandered lonely as a cloud. So ug mag-search mo daghan pa dyan ni siya works, pero sa PowerPoint kay maura man ni ang gihatag ng example. So that would be all, and I hope you learned something.
Good day, Sir Alvarez, and also to my classmates. So before I'll start my report, let me introduce myself first. So my name is Bea P. Silver from BL2 Block 1, and my topic is all about the poetry of Samuel Taylor Coleridge. So, Samuel Taylor Coleridge is the premier poet critic of modern English tradition, distinguished for the scope and influence of his thinking about literature as much as for his innovative verse. So, he is the first poet critic in times of modern English tradition. So, when we say poet critic, he do criticize about the several poems from different authors or writers. So, what is modern English tradition? Modern English tradition refers to the evolving the set of customs, practices, values, and cultural expressions that have emerged or adopted in England from the late 19th century. So, from the late 19th century, the England adopted several set of customs, practices, values, and cultural expression, because in the word modern English, in Tagalog, makabagong Ingles. So, let's move to where Samuel Taylor Coleridge, active in the wake of the French Revolution as a dissenting pamphleteer and lay preacher, he inspired a brilliant generation of writers and attracted the patronage of progressive men of the rising middle class. So why is Coleridge is active in the wake of French Revolution? Because during this time, people have been suffering for long years from being controlled by the feudalism. People are not allowed to do the things they want, like there is limited freedom for their rights as a people. So talking about feudalism, it categorized into three level of section. So the first is kings. So it set as high during this time because they govern all the country and everything that has connection about money or power. Second is the lords. It is expected that lords are the right hand of the kings. Whatever the commands of kings, they will make the process and they will introduce it towards the people. And the third is the magsasaka or serf, as set as the law. So as for me, magsasaka should be set as high because they are the reason why many people will be able to get rice, have their food, because they are very hardworking. Even they trade as. So why did Samuel inspired a brilliant generation of writers and attracted the patronage of progressive men of the rising middle class? Because during that time, gina-encourage niya ang people to fight their rights as human. We need to speak out whenever our dignity nga matapakan na sa uban, or if there is injustice and if there is unfair treatment of others or in government or in politics. So let's move on the next paragraph. Coleridge is thoroughly a romantic poet in every respect. His suggestiveness, imagery, love of nature, so hilig siya imagination, love of nature, fascination with the far away. So he liked traveling somewhere, treatment of the supernatural, medievalism, appreciation of music, and the dreamlike quality of his poetry. His poetry is the pinnacle of romanticism. So why his poetry is pinnacle to romanticism? Because he mastered and defined the movement core themes, formal innovations, and spiritual vision, setting a standard that influenced generation of poets. So that is the reason why his poetry is the pinnacle of romanticism. So next, Coleridge used his poetry to explore conflicting issues in philosophy and religious piety. So tungod sa iyang poetry, gi-explore niya about sa unsay mga problema or conflict issue about sa philosophy and also sa religious. Some critics argue that Coleridge's interest in philosophy was simply his attempt to understand the innovative and intellectual impulses that fueled his poetry. So naiuban nga ni contradict about his philosophy because some others said that it was simply to understand because of his innovative and intellectual impulses para lamang mapanindot niya ang iyang poetry. So let's move to the poetry of Samuel, entitled The Ancient Time Mariner. So I will not read the poem because it's too long. I will only tell you what message behind his poetry. So the poem delves into the power of storytelling. The mariner is forced to repeat his tale to others to alleviate his guilt. So when we say alleviate, na kanang para to get less or to lessen his guilt, highlighting how sharing our mistakes can teach wisdom and foster connection. So, it captures romantic themes like the sublime, awe and terror in nature, the supernatural, and the tension between reason and intuition. So, in his poetry, he included supernatural. And when we say intuition, it is the ability to understand or to know something immediately without needing to think about it. Like, so best example for intuition, you will be able to know if someone lying on you without even explaining it why, because you will feel it or you will observe it whenever she acted strange actions, and also the way she talked. She is uncomfortable to confront with you or to face with you. In that way, you will be able to know that someone is lying on you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my topic is all about John Keats' life. So first is, despite his death at the age of 25, Keats is one of the greatest English poets and a key figure in the Romantic movement. He has become the epitome of young, beautiful, dumb poet. So at the age, bata pa kayo siya, namatay na siya because of sakit na siya sakit. Mahibaon na to, ako na i-discuss later. So one of his poet is titled Ode to a Nightingale. So this poet is all about emotional journey as he listens to the song of a nightingale. So nightingale is a bird and reflects on life, suffering, death, and the power of imagination. The poem shows how Keats feels tired of the pain and sadness of human love. So he suffered from pain di ay kay because of ang sa iyahang na experience sa iyahang kinabuhi. So the poet John Keats wrote the great insight and emotion about art and beauty, love and loss, suffering and nature. His famous poems include Ode on a Grecian Urn and La Belle Dame Sans Mercy. Dili lang Ode to a Nightingale ang iyahang mga works. Naapod siya Ode on a Grecian Urn and La Belle Dame Sans Mercy. So this Ode on a Grecian Urn is all about an ancient Greek urn that has picture carved on it. So such urn na dito ang iyahang poem din na isa ka butang nga na naka-carve adto. Din kato nga image is nag-represent siya sa scenes of love, beauty, music, and sacrifice. As Keats looks at the urn, he reflects on the idea that art is permanent. So art is permanent but the life is temporary. Mao na iyang pasabot sa iyang poem nga Ode on a Grecian Urn. While ang La Belle Dame Sans Mercy is all about a sad and mysterious story of a knight who meets a beautiful woman. She enchants him with love and magic, but then abandons him. The knight is left weak, lonely, and heartbroken. So for La Belle Dame Di, it talks about love and betrayal. Gibetray siya sa isa ka babae. So ang love is magdani mo sa suffering. Magdaog kasakit sa imuhang kinabuhi. So next is we have here, during 1820, kids displayed increasingly serious symptoms of tuberculosis, suffering to lung hemorrhages in the first few days of February. On first coughing up blood February, on 3 February 1820, he said to Charles Armitage Brown, "I know the color of that blood. It is arterial blood. I cannot be deceived in that color." So because of kanang tuberculosis, John Keats died at the age of 25. So sayo siya namatay because of that sakit. Iya na yung mama is namatay po siya tungod sa tuberculosis. But this person is nag-study na siya about medicine and pero mas gipilit niya nga i-pursue ang poetry, magsigsuot og mga poet because he is inspired by William Shakespeare.
So good day everyone. So today I'm gonna report about the romantic themes of nature, imagination, and individuality. So first, the importance of nature in romanticism. So for romantic artists, nature is a source of inspiration and escape, a refuge from the tumult of the modern world. Wild and grandiose landscapes are particularly valued because they embody the power and beauty of nature, but also its ability to evoke deep emotion in the viewer. So, ang mga romanticism daw, it's nituo sila nga ang nature is very important when kanang magbuha or writing a poem, or an art, or magbuhag art, because it believed that nature is pure, nature is powerful, and nature is full of meaning. They also saw that nature is a source of inspiration, healing, truth, and spiritual connection. So, according sa mga romanticism or sa mga romantic writers, nga ang nature daw is a source of inspiration. Through natures, kay nga nung makakuha bitos or they gain a lot of kanang mga idea, kay nga no, according to them lagi, it is the source of inspiration. There's a lot of kanang kuan nga mahimo nila through nature. So why nature is important in romanticism? Because like what I've said, is source of inspiration. So through nature they can gain an inspiration, and they can also express emotion. Like for example, kina mga loneliness, fear, or peace, diba through nature we can makakita man tag kanang ka-calm sa kuan palibot, kanang maka-escape ta sa atong kanang fear, or makakita tag peace through nature and spiritual connection. So romanticism believe also that nature brings people closer to God. Kaya nga naman, di ba, if nata sa usa ka lami nga lugar or usa ka makakuantag lami nga nature, we can kanang directly kuan man sa Ginoo, no, like, oh God, thank you for this, kanang mga inana ba murag bitaw makuanta nga grabe ka powerful ang God makainana. And then kani mas kuan is escape from society. Kaya nga no, kung ang makakita kag sa karon nga generation, kay maragubot naman ang mga kanang society baron na. So through nature maka-escape ka ana nga lugar, like pahangin ka dito, di ba, kasagaran nato kay mo naman nga adto na pahangin ta pabukid ta mga inana, no. So according to romanticism nga ang nature is very important when writing sa mga writers o sa mga artists, because they kanang make that kuan para ma-inspired ang tanan na. Then one also example of the importance or the nature in romanticism is the
Example ani is I Wandered Lonely as a Clown by William Wordsworth. So ang kaning story, it's explore the relationship between nature and humanity. So the story tells the loneliness into everlasting joy by the beautiful sight of field of golden daffodils which become a source of inner happiness he could recall later. So according to them nga, so again, romanticism, it's nag-ingon nga ang nature is important because it is a source of inspiration and escape. So that's all for today, and I hope you learned something.
Good morning, everyone. So today I'm going to discuss about the importance of imagination and romanticism. So imagination is one of the significant characteristics of romantic poetry. Romantic poetry is a subjective and clairvoyant. The subjectivity and extrasensory instinct are revived due to sharp imagination. So, I have here examples. So, imagination is the central of romanticism because romantic believe it was the highest power of the human mind. Through imagination, people could go beyond logic and rules to understand deep emotions, nature, beauty, and truth. Then, why imagination is important in romanticism? First is express deep emotion. So writers and artists use imagination to show feeling like love, sorrow, joy, and freedom. Next, the second one is breaks rules of reason. Romanticism reacts against strict logic and order, valuing creativity over reason. Third one is connect human to nature. Imagination helps people feel nature's alive, meaningful, and spiritual. The next is, I have here a simple example. Here's the example. A romantic poet does not just describe a mountain as tall through imagination. The mountain becomes symbol of freedom, power, or mystery. Mountain. So one sentence summary is, in romanticism, imagination is important because it allows people to express deep emotions, connection with nature, and discover true beyond reason. So that's all. Thank you.
So, good evening everyone. Tonight I will be discussing about individuality and romanticism. So, romantics encourage people to express their individuality and not just to follow societal norms. Individualism was important to romantics because they value the unique aspects of a person that makes them different. So, individuality is one of the most important theme in romanticism because during the romantic period, the writers and artists believe that every person is unique, and they also believe that people should freely express their thoughts, emotions, and creativity. So, when we talk about individuality and romanticism, it means that a person is dili lang musunod sa kung unsay gusto sa society. What matters to the romantics is what a person truly feels and thinks. And of course, romantic thinkers encourage people to be true to themselves instead nga musunod lang sa mga rules sa society. Because romantics wanted people to show who they really are. For example, kung ikaw lahi kag perspective in life, well, that's okay because it shows your individuality, and we all know that people have different perspective, right? So that's why that Individuality is one of the most important themes in Romanticism. That's all. Thank you.